Face down in the mud, with blood on my back, I was scared. I wanted to quit. I looked around for help, and no one was there. I forced myself to crawl on. 95 degrees and sunny, I finally came to a watering hole. Waist deep and refreshing, I dove in and drank. In life, I faced many obstacles: anxiety, depression, and notably, the wanting to belong. In college, I used to have this coach that used to joke, "Jimmy, have you seen the new recruit? He's bigger, faster, stronger than you." I've heard all the cliche sayings. He'll never step on the field. Are you really that good? Is this too big for you? Then later in life, my wife Mandy told me to sign up or shut up. Make it your reality or put it behind you. See, I'd spent a couple months watching YouTube videos saying things like, what if, well maybe, and kind of. And I think she'd gotten kind of sick of it. So with a few clicks of a button, and on our 9th anniversary, I would run my first Spartan race. Instantly, hundreds of questions flooded in my head. How heavy is the bucket carry? Can I climb a rope? Can I throw a spear? And Jimmy, you can't even run 3 miles. So I signed up for Spartan's daily email and followed along on the lowest level. A few weeks later, at a campus tradition here at Thomas, late night munchies, I still remember asking cross-country coach Kerry Smart, "Kerry, how do you run more than 3 miles?" And Kerry laughed and kind of smiled, said, "Jimmy, you're going to be just fine." I wasn't so sure. So I followed my daily emails, I bought a Home Depot bucket, I filled it with sand, and I got to know the treadmill that was 25 feet from my office. And then the week of the race comes. If you ask my wife, I went through all my nervous habits, including asking her to buy me a bottle of Pepto-Bismol. And then the day of the race. I get dropped off at the festival area, and I sign a waiver that reads across the top, "You will die today." And I knew. I didn't belong here. This wasn't for me. I walked into the festival area. I didn't look like a Spartan. I didn't have six-pack abs. I wasn't jogging around, doing push-ups, practicing burpees. I simply wanted to know where to put my bag and change my shoes. Add to this that Mandy and then 7-month-old son Cooper were having some GPS problems, and they missed the start of the race. So there I am, standing in the starting corral, sweating like I'd already finished the race, scared. And then the DJ goes off. "The day may come when the courage of Sparta fails, and we forsake all bonds of fellowship, but it is not this day. For this day we fight. And to prepare you for that battle, I will ask you one simple question, to which you will respond, 'I am a Spartan.' Who am I? I am a Spartan. Who am I? I am a Spartan. Aru, 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 go." The race begins. Up the hill, down the hill, in the mud, carry a bucket, up the hill, and then it happens. I failed. I fell off the Z-wall. 30 burpee penalty. 20 feet later, fail. Missed my spear throw. 30 more burpees. And then I come to the barbed wire crawl. Face down in the mud and scared, wanting to quit, I came to that watering hole. Waist deep and full of mud, I jumped in and swallowed some. Actually, I drank it. And you'd think I'd found the fountain of youth. I come out the other side, a few hundred more yards of crawl, through a tree line and down a hill to the finish line. I am a Spartan. And I still have the t-shirt and the medal to prove it. In all of my excitement, I give Mandy and Cooper a kiss. I drink half of my free beer and head off to a family barbecue. I take a nap on the most comfortable hammock you can imagine, and I wanted to do it all over again. So a few more clicks of a button, and what do you know? A race at Fenway Park. 3 miles, no mud. I can do that. The day of the race comes, and 37 minutes after I started, I finished. A clean race. No failed obstacles, no burpee penalties. On the ride home, though, I learned that the elite Spartan race winning time that day was 26 minutes. I did it in 37. I couldn't beat that, I knew that. But I got stuck in lines of different obstacles for nearly 5 minutes, and I wanted to know what my real time would have been. So Mandy and I talk, and in 2015, I registered for elite Spartan Racing. 3 races. 3 to 5 mile sprint in Tuxedo, New York, an 8 to 10 mile super in Barre, Massachusetts, and a 12+ mile beast in Killington, Vermont. So I continue to follow along in those Spartan emails, but no longer at the easiest level, at the harder level. And during that time, our then assistant basketball coach used to ask me, "What are you doing today?" And I would respond, "Spartan training." Slowly that question changed to, "What are you doing today, Spartan?" And I really liked the sound of that. A couple weeks later, I jump in a truck with Coach LaBarge's husband, Jared, and we drive to Tuxedo, New York. On the way there, Jared asked me, "What's your goal for the race?" I tell him I'm going to finish in an hour. A couple hours later, we arrive at the venue and realize the winning time on Saturday was 1 hour and 8 seconds. We were racing on Sunday. And Jared looks at me and says, "You might want to change that goal." And I said, "You're right. An hour and 15 sounds way more reasonable." And when I look back, I think I made a mistake here. You shouldn't change your goals for somebody else's accomplishments. An hour and 8 seconds is a great finish. My goal still should have been 1 hour. Sunday morning rolls around. Overcast and wet, I step into the starting corral of my first ever elite Spartan race. Not knowing what was coming, once again scared and sweating like I'd already finished the race, the DJ comes on with the cadence. "Aru, aru, aru, go." We start. Up the hill. Not on a trail like you would think, but through the woods like a deer or goat would, down the mountain and back up the mountain. And it felt pretty good. People weren't really passing me. And at some point I jumped over a 9-foot wall and a volunteer yelled at me, "Great work, you're in 15th place." And I instantly knew that volunteer was wrong. There was no way I was in 15th place. I could see 4 or 5 people right in front of me. Down the hill again, over a Tarzan swing, up a rope, to the barbed wire crawl. Not the 95-degree muddy type, the dry, rocky uphill type. Fear and quit weren't on my mind, but pain and speed. I could see 4 people in front of me suffering. I was like, "Catch them, beat them. What do you have left?" I come out of the barbed wire crawl to the Spartan rig, a new obstacle. 10 feet high, 20 feet long, with ropes, rings, baseballs, and bars hanging with a bell at the end. Touch the ground, 30 burpee penalty. My little nephews don't call me Uncle Monkey for nothing, and I make it through. 3 more people passed. I run for a while longer, and a volunteer yells, "Great work, top 5, you're in 4th. And I looked at them. And you don't do a lot of thinking during a race, but I still remember thinking, no way, that can't be, that's not me. A few minutes later, 2 people catch up to me, one from the burpee pit by the rig and one from the barbed wire crawl, and we run for a while. After the sandbag carry, Phil takes off, and we don't see him again. Kevin and I push up the last hill and down a double diamond trail to the fire jump. We jump over, I stick the landing, Kevin doesn't. 5th place, holy shit. What does that mean? It means I earned one of these. It's a Spartan World Championship coin. I got to race in Spartan's largest race of the year. But was I lucky? It was only one race. Was anybody good even there? What could that really mean? Shortly after that, a now friend Kieran McCormack asked me, "James, do you think you could finish that well all the time?" Hesitantly, I kind of told him yes. He said, "I think you need to run 5 races then." Being the outsider, not knowing, I asked why. He said, "Well, I think you have a good shot of ranking in the top 50 for the year of 2015 for all elite racers." And I kind of giggled and said, "Kieran, slow down. That's not realistic. It was only one race. Let's see how the next one goes." So a few short weeks later, I drive to Barre, Massachusetts for that 8 to 10 mile super. Walk into the elite starting corral, stand somewhat near the front, and then slowly let people who all seem to know each other pile in front of me. And then the DJ comes over the mic and says, "Former world champion Jung Young Pak was there." Gut check time for me. I had no idea who he was. "Aru, Aru, Aru, go." And we start. I'm doing fairly well through the first 3 miles. I was in 5th place. And then it happened. One by one, people started passing me. And then my legs started to get tired, and I felt the need to walk. So I did. And my mind kind of went to that dark place that no one wants to go to. I started saying things like, What elite Spartan racer walks? Top 50? Who were you kidding? You don't belong there. And unlike my first race, I come to a watering hole that actually had watering cups, and I drank some. A volunteer says, "Great work, you're in top 20. So I drink my water and tell myself, "Jimmy, pick up your feet." And I did. And I found myself bushwhacking, a Spartan favorite. Find the thickest, densest section of woods, put caution tape on both sides, and make you run through the middle of it. So with branches and twigs ripping at my legs, racers started to come back into view. Most of the rest of this race is really a blur for me. I have some great pictures of being on obstacles I don't remember doing, and I remember finishing and being a little angry. See, I knew with 100 or 200 yards more, I could catch 1 or 2 more people. I grabbed my medal, I checked my finishing time, 12th place. I blew it. Because 12th obviously isn't 5th. It couldn't have been good enough. But then I learned in Spartan that it's not your place that matters, it's your time. And 12th actually earned me about the same as 5th. 5 races. Time to get creative. Well, Washington, D.C. isn't that far away. And if I take a chance on orientation weekend here at Thomas and drive to Barre, Massachusetts, I could run the race in an hour, drive 3 hours, and get back in time for work. And then somewhere over the Atlantic, it hit me. "Jimmy, you're flying to a race. What has happened to you? What are you doing?" And it was obvious for me now. All I really wanted to know was I that good? Did I belong? Land in D.C., crash for the night, wake up 2 hours early for a 7:30 start time. And this race really only has a few highlights for me. I remember 200 yards into the race, a 15-foot chasm that everybody ran into, and it caused total mayhem with all the racers. And the amazing barbed wire crawl to finish where I caught a few more people. Grabbed my medal, checked my finishing time, 13th place, but only 5 minutes behind one of the fastest elite Spartan racers in the country. Still doing well. 2 races left. So I take that risk. I drive to Barre, Massachusetts to run the sprint there. 1 hour time frame, 3 hour drive to get back to Thomas in time for work for orientation. Line up in the starting corral, now standing next to friend Kieran McCormack, and the DJ comes over again. Once again, world champion Jung Young Pak is there, and another well-known racer from California. Aru, 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 go! And we start. Ian and Pak take off at a pace you can't imagine. I still swear to this day, when Ian runs, the earth moves, not him. And 8 or 10 of us race with each other and pass each other a little bit as we go for quite a while during this race. And then it happens. Fail. My first failed obstacle of 2015. I missed the spear throw. 30 burpee penalty. I finished the race, grabbed my medal, 13th place again, my lowest finish of the year. Did I blow it? Did I still have a chance to be in the top 50? It's the only running 5 races I left myself no room for error. So a few months later, my wife, her friend Pam, and I got in a car and we drove to Killington, Vermont, one of the largest ski resorts on the East Coast, for my 12-mile beast. That morning was cold, wet, and rainy, but I was smiling the whole time. When the race started, 3 hours and 37 minutes later, I finished. And I learned a lot during that race. I learned that all elite Spartan racers walk when they go uphill. I learned that barbed wire ripping at my skin no longer slowed me down, and that I hated the spear throw. See, 3 hours and 37 minutes that day was good enough for 4th place. And with 20 yards to go, I missed another spear throw that cost me a chance at 2nd. So in all of my excitement at the finish, I kissed Mandy, kissed Cooper, ate all the food I could find, and we headed home. In the back seat of the car, with my legs spasming, I did some quick math. I cried a little and raised my hands into the air. I had done it. Ranked in the top 50 in the United States for the year of 2015, 37th overall. See, in life there's tons of challenges and wanting it to belong. But the question shouldn't be, do I want to belong? It should be, do I want to put the work in to belong? For me, racing will never end. but the question of belonging has. Thank you.